I just want to say before I started, I came up with the idea of doing a video on hip hop stuff because I was just listening to that song that Trippie Red and Chief Keef just released, like responding to like Tekashi 6ix9ine.
Hey, shawty, you know I kill people, real people.
And that was like not even a diss track. That was like a credible threat of violence. Like, make rap beef great again. Anyway, hi guys, Willow's here. I know a lot of you know I'm pretty passionate about business. You know, I work on my business 18 hours a day and then I drink for the other 6. I started what is now the largest winery in my province when I was in my late teens, and I'm pretty passionate about just kind of, you know, changing the world and making money and different things like that. But what some of you may not know is that I'm super passionate for some reason about hip-hop culture and different things like that, different beefs going on in music in general. And, you know, so something like this that I want to touch on today is just kind of relevant to my interests, and I thought that I'd just talk about it. So I want to talk about YBN Cordae, who's a up-and-coming young rapper from Maryland. He's part of the YBN group or family or whatever it is, alongside his counterpart YBN Namir, who is a little bit more popular than him, I think, at this time. So YBN Cordae released a song in May through WorldStar that was a response to J. Cole's 1985. It's on the same beat and everything. And it's basically, J. Cole's 1985 is criticizing this kind of new school of rapper and, you know, basically saying, like, you know, J. Cole's the best, but, you know, we need to go back to kind of 90s era, 1985 and whatnot. And basically that there's no good music coming out, and etc. Basically heavily criticizing kind of this new wave of, you know, mumble rappers or whatever you also want to call it. Basically just these kids trying to make music or whatever. So YBN Cordae comes out and makes a pretty good response, honestly. So I want to dive into that. So first of all, I just want to say that I respect J. Cole. I think he is a very, very influential figure in the music industry right now. I think that he is killing it. I think he's the new kind of generation of woke, and not fake woke, but actual woke. Hip-hop, the conscious kind of hip-hop. I think that he's very, very talented, but I will say that I am not the biggest fan. I think I maybe have 5 J. Cole songs on my iTunes. I'm not a huge diehard fan. The same way, like, I'm not a huge diehard fan of Tupac, but I respect his you know, everything he did for the music scene. I think he's an amazing, phenomenal storyteller. I think he's a, you know, very accomplished MC, and, you know, and there are songs I love, like Hail Mary is one of my favorite hip-hop songs in the 90s, but I am not, like, if I made a playlist of like my top 100 hip-hop songs at the moment, at least, more my favorite at least, I don't think Tupac would be near the top. So that being said, I do respect J. Cole. I do respect what he's doing for the industry and for the culture, and I also do respect the point of view that he's coming from. But this video, I just want to talk about YBN Cordae's response and his kind of mentality in this song. So the first thing I want to say is that the claim that there's no good music coming out right now and that all new school rappers are shitty and that there's nothing, you know, just can't even touch the 90s or 80s hip-hop is just false. I do not agree with that at all. I think that there are so many great, talented artists out there. And, like, I would even argue that there's more good music coming out now than there was before, just because of the sheer amount of music, right? Like, all the people that can just make a great song, upload it to SoundCloud. Like, 40 years ago, you didn't have that kind of ability to just put out good music, right? So super talented people, I'm sure, were getting snuffed left and right just because they couldn't get into the industry, they couldn't break through. So I think there's arguably more good music being made every day now than there ever has been in history. And I think just to kind of discount all new age rappers and all mumble rappers and all kind of young kids that are doing it, I think is irresponsible, and I think just not true. I think there's a ton of people making great music, but the style shifting, just like how it shifted from, you know, boom bap to gangster rap to whatever, like, you know, styles shift, and it's shifting again. into a more kind of trap style, kind of mumble, they use mumble as a derogatory term, people that don't like the genre, but I think we're just kind of, it's evolving, it's changing, music does that. So I'm just going to go over some of the lyrics here in the song. I got the trusty tablet out. So first of all, he's talking about kind of what I just said, where there's he's like, what's the difference between this generation, the new and the old generation? There's a generational gap, kind of like the old generation doesn't really like this new stuff, and a lot of new fans, like younger fans of hip hop, aren't listening to a lot of old stuff.
It seems though we is at a generational gap, which bring conversation in a statement in fact.
Like my little brother, for instance, is like 18, and I don't think he listens to music all the time, and I don't think I've ever heard him listen to something made before 2010. And just for the sake of reading here, I'm gonna say homies instead of the N-word, just to power through. So here in the first verse, I think he makes a really good point. He says, let's take it back to when hip-hop originated and old homies said it was whack, they couldn't take it. They called it a little trend, said it wouldn't last, now it's the #1 genre as time has passed. I really like that. I think that's a perfect point, is that when hip-hop started and these kids, and they were kids, were making hip-hop and rapping and stuff like that, the old generation, the old homies, were being like, well, this is dumb, this isn't going to last, this is a trend. And now, look where it is, right? Post Malone just passed the Beatles after 44 years of holding like fastest record to get platinum or something like that. It's insane. It's insane where the genre of hip-hop is. It's the top streamed on Spotify, top streamed on Apple Music. Like, it's honestly insane. And I think that if you look in the 70s and 80s and all that, I think there was a lot of older people that were like, wow, but it's the same people. They're just resistant to change. It's the same people that were hating on rock and roll and like Elvis is a trend. You know what I mean? Like, there's always going to be naysayers when things are progressing. Now, I'm just going to mention it quick. My favorite line in this song is, please don't complain without a plan. And I love that. I love that because I think that a lot of people are like, well, this sucks. And they're like, okay, what? Then stop making music. Like, they don't have a plan. They don't have any way. They're like, well, this sucks. I'm better. So here, like, you know what I mean? Like, I love that line. I love that line, and it applies to a lot more than just music. So then he says here, we see you old homies as a lot of clowns, not to mention our father figures were not around, so we go on tours and we hop in towns, we just need to sit down and find some common ground, blah, blah, blah. And then he says, like, hip-hop's a balance, and he says, I gotta drop some music to accrue some funds, and I get it, that's the mindset that's killing the rhyme fest, but feeding our families, lowering the crime yet. Good points. He's basically saying, like, we're just trying to get paper, we're just trying to make money, we're trying to feed our families, we're lowering the crime rate, we're not out robbing and hitting licks because we're making music and making money. Like, and then he says here, like, old homies bitter, y'all should love it when a homie win. Like, literally. Like, stop, like, so many people. A great example is Danielle Bregoli, the Catch Me Outside girl. When she started her hip hop career under Bad Baby or whatever, she's probably one of the most hated people right now. And I wouldn't consider myself a big fan of her, but I respect her a lot. It's like she's 15 years old and richer than I am. Like, she just signed a multi-million-dollar record deal, right? Like, so I don't understand why people hate other people succeeding. It's like, oh, fucking Lil Yachty, you hate his music. I hope he, loses. And it's like, you should want to see other people succeed. And I think that's a big part of inner peace and success is like, you're going to be uplifted. You're going to succeed more when you want other people to succeed. And then Cordae just kind of ends the song by saying, your time is coming, like TikTok. I'm still wearing all my Gucci flip-flops, etc., like diamond chains, big rocks, etc. Anyway, but like, he kind of ends the song by saying that basically, well, people aren't streaming your music anymore. People aren't listening to your music anymore. And I think that, not to discredit J. Cole, because I think that J. Cole is kind of an outlier as far as he makes, woke music and aware music and politically active music that it appeals to the masses, let's say. Like, because you take people like Killer Mike and Immortal Technique and people like that, they're kind of stuck in the underground where they're never going to get out because they don't want to appeal to the masses, and they just do their politically charged, you know, super, well, especially Immortal Technique, like conspiracy theory ridden, like, and I love Immortal Technique. But I think that never is going to, like, he doesn't make bangers, right? Like, he's not going to apply, like, you know, these hip-hop fans, these zanned out 18-year-olds aren't going to a music festival to listen to Dance with the Devil, right? Like, they're just not. The eyes are obviously on these kids. The eyes are obviously on people like YBN Cordae and YBN Namir and, you know, Trippie Red and Tekashi and, you know, even Lil Xan and like all those people, Lil Pump and all these people, this new wave. That's where the eyes are. That's where the people are looking. So not to discredit J. Cole at all, but I think that by trying to say that there's no good music coming out, that's false. By trying to say that these kids aren't talented, that's false as well. To try, and also, you know, who are you to criticize the type of music that somebody feels like making? You know, and you can argue, and I would too, that Gucci Gang, Gucci Gang, Gucci Gang, Gucci Gang isn't exactly a Lil Pump pouring out his heart and soul into the music, but it's art, right? If that's what he wants to make, that's what he wants to make. You know, there's paintings I don't appreciate, but then there's paintings I like. You know, but like, do I just credit the people making the paintings I don't like? No, because that's what they felt like making. It's art. So these kids that want to make this music, that's what they want to make. I don't understand why that's a problem. You shouldn't hate on people that are making it. Like, as long as they're not hurting anybody, unless you're making it by, you know, stealing people's groundwater and bottling it and selling it, then, you know, respect the artists. They have fans, obviously. They have fans. They have people going to the concert. They have people buying their music, obviously, right? And just a quick note, I'm filming this after I finished the video, obviously. I hadn't listened to that J. Cole song in like a couple days when I recorded the video, so I listened to it while I was editing, and he does give credit, and he says, you know what, kids just get paid, just do whatever. So he does have kind of some of the points that I was touching on in that video, but still, I think that some of the hate is unwarranted. So, I don't know. In conclusion, I think that YBN Cordae made a very good response. I didn't want to read a bunch of the lyrics just because I want you guys to go and listen to the song and let me know what you think. I just think it's a great response to J. Cole. I'll link that J. Cole song down there as well. That is a certified good song in its own right. And I think both artists deserve some attention. I know YBN Cordae hasn't released, I don't think, an album yet, but he's maybe someone to keep an eye on if you're a fan of hip-hop. And I think whenever a group of people wants to stand up for what they believe in and say, you know what, I'm not going to be pushed around by you, I believe in this, I'm going to do it, I think that's respectable, music or otherwise. So anyway, let me know what you think about me talking about hip-hop drama, because, I don't know, like, that's kind of not typical for me, but let me know what you think. Anyway, vote Willows, and I'll see you around.
I'ma still wear all my Gucci flip-flops and the fucking diamond chain with the big rocks. And I be the greatest ever, nigga, just watch. Cardi B got rich from loving hip-hop.